It began in total stillness. I was sitting alone in a stone chamber, no technology, no sound, no light, only my breath and the sharp awareness of something shifting deep inside me. On the third night, after hours of breathwork and silence, a pulse of energy surged through my spine. It wasn't physical. It was something else, like the memory of a future that hadn't happened yet was trying to break through. I opened my eyes even though there was no light, and in that darkness I saw something. Not with my eyes, but with a part of me far older than this body. That was my first real taste of a quantum shift. And if you're watching this now, it means you're either in one, about to enter one, or you've just emerged from one. This is not theory. This is initiation. A quantum shift is not what people think it is. It's not just a breakthrough moment where everything gets better. It is often preceded by collapse, confusion, emotional chaos, the sudden dissolving of what you thought was solid. It's when the life you built, the identity you wore, the relationships you clung to all start to feel like sand slipping through your fingers. You're not going crazy. You're being recalibrated. And that recalibration doesn't come gently. It comes like a spiritual earthquake that breaks through the illusion of stability so that your soul can finally breathe. We often ask the wrong question when this begins. We say, why is this happening to me? But the real question is, what is this sacred disruption trying to birth through me? A quantum shift doesn't just change what you do. It transforms who you are. It rearranges the very structure of how you perceive reality. Old stories begin to dissolve. Time begins to feel different. You start to feel things before they happen. You lose interest in things you used to love. This isn't loss, it's evolution. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. And pen.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Here's the truth most people won't tell you. A quantum shift doesn't begin with clarity. It begins with disorientation. First, the soul whispers. Then it knocks. Then it burns everything that isn't aligned. Relationships may fall away. You might lose your job. Your body might start reacting. It's not punishment, it's purification. The density is being shaken out of your field so you can hold a higher frequency. But the mind doesn't like this. It craves structure, logic, control. And a quantum shift is the destruction of all three. That's why it feels terrifying. But that fear is not a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're standing at the edge of transformation. So how do you navigate this? The first key is surrender. Not passive surrender, but conscious surrender. You stop fighting the current and start trusting the intelligence of your soul. You stop asking for the old to return and start asking, what is this moment trying to teach me? You learn to sit in the unknown without rushing to fill it. You stop trying to fix yourself and start listening to parts of you that have never been heard. In the silence, you will hear the voice beneath the noise. And it's ancient. During a quantum shift, your nervous system becomes your compass. If your body feels tight, reactive, or overloaded, it's because you're trying to control the process from the mind. But when you drop into the body, breathe, and trust, you begin to stabilize the frequency. This is why embodiment practices are essential. Breathwork, grounding, cold plunges, movement. These aren't luxuries, they are survival tools during an energetic upgrade, because your body needs to evolve to hold the light that your soul is downloading. You will be tempted to go back to what's familiar. Don't. The old life is collapsing because it can no longer hold the truth of who you're becoming. You can't go back. You can only go through. And what's on the other side is not just a better version of your life, it's a higher dimension of your being. But to reach it, you must be willing to lose everything that isn't real. That includes identities, beliefs, even spiritual ideas you once held sacred. A quantum shift will burn through your illusions like fire through dry grass. Many people think they're alone in this, but this is happening on a collective level. More people than ever are waking up, shifting timelines, leaving careers, ending relationships, feeling the internal pull towards something they can't name. You're not weird. You're ahead of the curve. You're not lost. You're being rerouted by a divine GPS that doesn't operate by human logic. And if you trust it, you'll end up in places your mind could never imagine. But first, you must get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let's talk about the void, the space between the old and the new. This is where most people quit. It's the most spiritually dangerous space because nothing makes sense. You're not who you were, but you're not yet who you're becoming. It feels like floating in space with no ground beneath you. And this is where the soul does its deepest work. In the void, your mind panics, but your soul, it sings. Because finally there's space. Space to reconfigure, to integrate, to receive new codes. The void is not empty. It's full of potential. And if you can sit in it, breathe through it, and trust it, you will emerge not just changed, but reborn. You may begin to experience synchronicities, repeating numbers, vivid dreams, people from your past suddenly re-entering your life. This is not random. The quantum field is reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Every thought, every emotion, every intention becomes a command to the field. That's why you must become hyper-conscious of your inner world. You are no longer just reacting to life. You are now creating it in real time with your vibration. Your words are spells. Your thoughts are seeds. Your energy is currency. Spend it wisely. One of the most profound aspects of navigating a quantum shift is learning to listen to your intuition above all else. Not your fear, not your conditioning, not even well-meaning advice. Your soul knows things your mind hasn't caught up to yet. And when you follow the whisper, not the scream, the whisper, you align with a higher timeline. This requires trust, radical trust, because sometimes the path your intuition takes you on will look completely illogical. But logic is outdated when you're navigating a new dimension of being. Let me ask you something. What are you still clinging to out of fear that would actually set you free if you let it go? Take a breath and really feel into that. What would collapse if you stopped pretending? What would rise if you stopped hiding? These are not just questions, they are keys. And the more honest you are with yourself, the faster the shift integrates. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your frequency. And your frequency is shaped by your truth. During a quantum shift, your shadow will surface. Old wounds, childhood trauma, ancestral pain. This isn't regression. It's revelation. These wounds are not returning to punish you. They're returning to be witnessed, felt, and finally healed. You must become the space that can hold your own pain without rejecting it. That's how integration happens. Not by suppressing the shadow, but by loving it into wholeness. You are not broken. You are breaking through. Every quantum shift comes with a test. A moment where you are asked to choose the old or the new, comfort or truth, illusion or alignment. And in that moment, everything hangs in the balance. But here's the secret most don't know. The test isn't there to see if you'll fail. It's there to show you how powerful you've become. The universe already knows who you are. The test is to help you remember. When the test arrives, it won't always look like a challenge. Sometimes it comes disguised as something tempting. An old job, an old relationship, an opportunity that looks good on paper but feels off in your gut. The test isn't about morality, it's about alignment. Will you choose what's safe, or will you choose what's true? This is the moment when your soul asks, have you really changed, or are you still playing the same game in a new costume? And the answer comes not in words, but in action. Every choice you make during a quantum shift sends a signal to the universe. You're either broadcasting "I am ready" or "I'm not yet serious," and the universe listens. Sometimes the shift comes in waves. You think you're through it, and then another layer rises. Don't panic. This is natural. Quantum change is not linear, it's spiral. You revisit the same core themes, but from a higher level of awareness each time. What once broke you now reveals itself as a gift. You begin to realize that your deepest pain wasn't a detour. It was the very portal through which your soul chose to awaken. Every breakdown was coded with breakthrough. Every loss was loaded with liberation. During the shift, your identity will feel unstable. Who you thought you were may begin to dissolve. Your titles, roles, even your name might feel foreign. This is not a crisis. It's a return. The self you constructed was a survival mechanism. What's emerging now is the self that existed before the world told you who to be. Don't rush to reattach. Let yourself be nobody for a while. In the stillness of ego death, your soul begins to speak louder. And what it says is not always comfortable, but it's always real. One of the most overlooked aspects of navigating a quantum shift is grief. Not just grief for what you lost, but grief for who you were. You may find yourself mourning the version of you that tolerated less, that played small, that settled. That version may have felt safe, even if it was stuck. And letting it go can feel like losing a part of your identity. Allow that grief. Hold it gently. You are not weak for feeling it. You are wise for honoring it. Every version of you was doing the best they could with the awareness they had. Now it's your time to choose differently. As the shift begins to stabilize, something miraculous happens. Your perception starts to expand. You begin to see patterns you never noticed. You read energy in ways that surprise you. You feel emotions that aren't yours and know truths you didn't learn. This is not psychic. Ability, it's soul intelligence coming online. Your multidimensional self is activating. You are becoming more sensitive, more intuitive, more attuned. But with that sensitivity comes responsibility. You must now discern what is yours to carry and what is not. Boundaries are sacred during a quantum shift. As your field becomes more open, you become more susceptible to energy that doesn't belong to you. Not everyone will understand your transformation. Some will feel threatened by it. Some will try to pull you back into the old frequency, not out of malice but out of familiarity. It's your job to protect your frequency like it's sacred ground, because it is. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. If it doesn't feel aligned, it's a no. Trust that your no creates space for the deeper yes. Let's talk about your environment. During a quantum shift, your physical surroundings either support your evolution or slow it down. Pay attention to your space. Is it cluttered with old energy? Are there objects, clothes, or reminders of past versions of you that need to go? Create a temple around you. Clean, rearrange, burn incense, play music that elevates. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. And if you want to shift energetically, sometimes you have to shift physically first. Food, sleep, and movement become spiritual practices during this phase. Your body is not an obstacle to your awakening, it's the vessel. If your body is overloaded with toxins, overstimulated by screens, and deprived of rest, your soul can't land fully. Treat your body like an altar. Eat foods that carry life. Move in ways that awaken energy. Sleep like it's sacred, which it is. Your dreams will become potent during this time. Keep a journal. They are messages from your higher self, encoded with guidance and insights you can't receive in waking consciousness. You will be called to let go of control. This is one of the hardest parts. The ego wants to plan, fix, solve. But the quantum field doesn't respond to control, it responds to coherence. When your inner world aligns with your soul, reality bends. Things begin to fall into place without force. Opportunities arrive without effort. People show up at the exact moment you're ready. But this only happens when you stop pushing and start aligning. Trust is not passive, it's magnetic. It draws to you what matches your frequency. Let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to control it and started listening to it? What would happen if you truly believed that life is not against you, but reorganizing for you? Could you let go of the timeline in your head and surrender to the divine choreography already unfolding? These are the questions that unlock the next level. Because a quantum shift doesn't just give you a new life, it gives you a new relationship with life. The people around you may not understand what you're going through. That's okay. This path is not about validation. It's about authenticity. Speak your truth, but don't expect everyone to applaud it. Some will leave, some will stay. Others will be drawn to you like moths to a flame. Because your frequency will start to broadcast something rare, realness. And realness is magnetic. It makes people remember who they are. You don't need to teach or convince, just be. That's the transmission. That's the transmission. You may feel called to serve, to create, to share your story. Follow that, but don't rush to brand it, monetize it, or package it. Let it be raw first. Let it be sacred. Let it be for you before it becomes for the world. Because if you try to teach from a wound that hasn't healed, you bleed all over your message. But when you speak from integration, your words don't just inform, they transform. The most powerful thing you can do during a quantum shift is come back to your breath, over and over. Your breath is the bridge between your soul and your body. It is always available, always honest, always now. When emotions rise, breathe. When doubt creeps in, breathe. When clarity dissolves, breathe. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stay present. One breath at a time. And here's the most beautiful truth of all, you are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you've always been. The shift doesn't add to you, it strips away everything that isn't you. The masks, the roles, the fear, the conditioning. And what's left is truth. What's left is essence. What's left is the you that existed before the world taught you to play small. You are the shift. You are the field. You are the frequency. And everything you've been seeking is already coded within your being. You don't need to chase it, you need to unlock it. And the key is presence. The key is courage. The key is radical self-honesty. Because the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop running, the moment you stop numbing, you remember. And in that remembrance, the quantum shift becomes not something you navigate, but something you embody. There comes a moment in every quantum shift when the silence becomes louder than the noise. You stop craving answers, you stop chasing signs, you stop asking when it's all going to make sense. Instead, you sit in the stillness and realize that the shift wasn't about getting somewhere, it was about dissolving the illusion that you were ever lost. You were never off track. You were never broken. You were simply shedding layers that no longer matched the truth of your soul. And now, in this space of clarity, you begin to feel something deeper, peace. Not the peace that comes from comfort, but the peace that comes from alignment. This is where the real work begins. Because now that you've crossed the threshold, you're not just navigating a shift, you're holding a new frequency. And holding that frequency in a world that's addicted to distraction, fear, and superficiality is no small task. It requires vigilance. It requires devotion. It requires a level of presence that most people avoid because it strips away every excuse you've ever used to stay small. But this is your calling now. Not to fit in, but to embody. Not to conform, but to radiate. You begin to realize that the shift wasn't just for you. It was through you for the collective. Your healing becomes a doorway for others. Your authenticity gives them permission to drop their masks. Your light doesn't shine to be admired, it shines to remind. Every time you choose truth over comfort, presence over performance, love over fear, You shift the field not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. This is what it means to be a lighthouse. You don't chase boats. You stand in your radiance and let those who are ready find you. In this phase, you'll be tested not with chaos, but with opportunity. The universe will offer you things that look good, but don't feel aligned. And you must discern, not from fear, but from resonance. Does this expand me, or does it shrink me? Is this aligned with my soul, or is it a shiny distraction? These choices define your trajectory now. Because the more you grow, the subtler the tests become. It's no longer about surviving the storm, it's about staying anchored in the calm when everyone else is still caught in the waves. You'll also begin to notice that your desires have changed. What you used to chase no longer excites you. Image, status, validation, success, they feel hollow now. You crave depth. You crave truth. You crave connection that goes beyond words and touches the soul. This is not regression. This is evolution. Your soul is no longer satisfied with surface-level experiences. It wants to create, to serve, to love, to express from a place of wholeness. And when you honor that, everything you touch becomes infused with sacredness. Creativity becomes a spiritual act. Every word you speak, every project you birth, every conversation you hold, it all carries frequency. And people will feel it. They might not know why they're drawn to you, but they'll feel something authentic, something real, something ancient. That's because you're no longer creating from ego, you're creating from source. And source doesn't perform. It pours. It flows. It gives without needing to be seen. Let me ask you something. What would it feel like to live a life where your soul is in the driver's seat, not your fear? What choices would you make if you truly trusted that life was supporting you, not testing you? What would you create if you stopped asking for permission and started listening to your inner knowing? These questions are not just theoretical, they're spiritual blueprints. And every time you answer them with action, you align more deeply with your highest timeline. You'll also begin to experience time differently. It may stretch, bend, dissolve. Days feel like lifetimes. Moments feel eternal. This is not a glitch, it's a sign that you're living in resonance with the quantum field. Time only feels linear when we're disconnected from presence. But when you drop fully into the now, you step outside of time. You enter the eternal. And in that space, you can access infinite possibilities because you're no longer bound by past limitations or future projections. You're simply here. Relationships will shift too. Some will fall away quietly. Others will end with intensity. New ones will enter your life with immediate depth and familiarity. These are your soul agreements activating. Don't chase what's leaving. Don't force what's fading. Bless it, release it, and make space for what's aligned. You are not here to convince anyone of your worth. You are here to embody it so fully that those who resonate will recognize you instantly. That's soul recognition, and it's unmistakable. Your connection to nature will deepen. You'll find yourself drawn to trees, water, moonlight, fire. These elements hold codes. They don't speak in language, they speak in frequency. Sit with them. Listen. Let the wind teach you how to surrender. Let the ocean remind you how to flow. Let the fire show you how to transmute. Let the earth teach you how to ground. These are not metaphors. They are living teachings, available to you always. You might also begin to receive visions, downloads, inner knowings that come from somewhere beyond the mind. Don't dismiss them. Don't overanalyze them. Receive them like sacred messages. Write them down. Integrate them. Let them guide your next steps. The more you trust what you receive, the more you'll be given. The universe doesn't withhold, it calibrates. And when you prove that you can hold the frequency, more is revealed. Money, too, will take on a new meaning. It's no longer just currency, it becomes energy. A mirror. A magnifier. You begin to see that abundance isn't about accumulation, it's about circulation. You don't chase money, you open to flow. You don't work from scarcity, you create from overflow. And as you align with your soul's purpose, money begins to show up in unexpected ways. Not because you're lucky, but because you're in resonance with your true path. Prosperity is a byproduct of alignment. And then one day you'll look around and realize everything has changed. Not because the world shifted, but because you did. Your inner world became so coherent, so aligned, so vibrant, that your outer world had no choice but to reflect it. This is the true magic of a quantum shift. It doesn't just change your life, it changes the lens through which you see life. And from that lens, everything becomes sacred. You'll still feel fear sometimes, you'll still feel doubt, but they won't define you anymore. They'll visit like old friends, but they won't stay. Because now you have something stronger: trust. Not blind faith, but embodied knowing. You've walked through the fire. You've danced in the void. You've surrendered to the unknown and emerged with gold. And that gold is your awareness, your peace, your power. So where do you go from here? You live, you create, you serve, you love, not from obligation, but from inspiration, not from the mind, but from the soul. You become a living transmission of what's possible when someone chooses to remember who they are. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. Your life becomes the message. Your presence becomes the portal. Your authenticity becomes the medicine. This is how you spiritually navigate a quantum shift.